The small Earth ship Harmony's Edge flew down through the strange crystal sky of Nexus Prime. Inside, Bastardly Gina pressed her nose to the window, watching the alien city grow bigger below them. The buildings looked impossible, tall. Towers that seemed to grow like trees from living crystal, bridges that glowed with soft light, and gardens where plants from 1,000 different worlds grew together in perfect rows. "Look at that," whispered Dr. Park Min-ho, the team's main scientist who studied how people behave. His voice was full of wonder. "I don't see any weapons anywhere. No walls, no guards, no signs of fighting at all." Gina nodded, but something about all this perfection made her feel worried. She had spent years working with Earth's messy politics, dealing with countries fighting over land, trade arguments, and the constant problems between Earth's different nations. This peaceful harmony felt too perfect, like a picture that was too pretty to be real. Their ship landed in a big open area where aliens from many different species stood waiting in neat lines. The crystallites looked like living statues made of shiny stone, their surfaces showing rainbow colors. The Verdani swayed back and forth like plants in a breeze, even though Gina couldn't feel any wind. In the center stood High Harmonizer Velthan, a tall creature whose skin changed colors like oil on water. "Oh, welcome, children of Earth," Velthan said. His words came through small devices that changed his alien speech into perfect Korean. "We celebrate your coming as we celebrate all unity and diversity." What happened next was unlike anything humans had ever seen. Thousands of different alien species moved together like dancers, all in perfect time. Their different shapes and forms created patterns that seemed to speak of peace, working together, and shared purpose. When Gina was asked to speak, she found herself struggling to find the right words. We come here wanting to understand," she said slowly. "Earth has known fighting and division. We hope to learn from your peace." Velthan's face showed warmth and understanding. "All species start with fighting, Ambassador Gina. The path to harmony needs only the wisdom to put the group's needs before personal wants. Our Neuralink technology helps each citizen make choices that help everyone." As the human team was taken to their rooms in the tall diplomatic spire, Min-ho grabbed Gina's arm. "Did you see how they all moved together? Not just in the ceremony? Watch their eyes. They all seem to stop before talking, like they're asking someone something." Gina had seen it too. In the back of her mind, a small voice whispered that perfection always came with a cost. The next few days were filled with tours and meetings. The aliens showed them amazing technology, machines that could heal any injury, computers that could solve any problem, and art that seemed to capture the beauty of the entire galaxy. But the more they saw, the more Gina noticed small, strange things. During a music performance, she watched hundreds of different aliens sing together in perfect harmony. But their faces looked blank, almost empty. When the song ended, they all smiled at exactly the same time, in exactly the same way, at a science demonstration. A young crystallite scientist explained how they had solved the problem of energy shortage. But when Min-ho asked how they had thought of the solution, the alien looked confused. "I followed the harmonious principles of collective problem-solving," it said. "Individual thinking would create ... discord." That night, Gina and Min-ho sat in their room, talking quietly. Outside their window, the alien city glowed with soft light, beautiful and peaceful. "Something's wrong here," Gina said. "Did you notice how they all pause before they speak? They're waiting for someone to tell them what to say." Min-ho nodded. They all used the same words. Collective benefit, harmonious choice, discord. It's like they're all reading from the same book. "What if they are?" Gina asked. "What if this harmony isn't real? What if it's forced?" They looked out at the perfect city where millions of aliens lived in perfect peace. But now, instead of looking beautiful, it looked frightening. Like a prison made of light and crystal. The next morning, High Harmonizer Velthan came to visit them. His skin color seemed brighter, more intense than before. "Ambassador Gina, Dr. Park," he said with his usual calm smile. "I trust your stay continues to teach you much." "Yes, very much," Gina replied carefully. "We're learning a lot about your Society's remarkable unity. Indeed. And tomorrow, we would like to share something special with your team. A demonstration of our harmony technology and an invitation for humanity to experience true peace. After Velthan left, Gina and Minho sat quietly for a long time. We need to find out what that technology really does, Gina said finally. Before we accidentally destroy our entire species. Outside, the alien city continued its perfect, peaceful existence. But now the humans knew that sometimes the most beautiful cages were the hardest to see. After 3 weeks on the alien world, Dr. Park Minho had written down so many strange things in his notebooks that he felt sick to his stomach. He sat alone in the room where the human team stayed, reading his notes while the other humans went to see alien art shows around the city. The aliens were perfect hosts. They knew what the humans wanted before they asked for it. They answered every question with patience and detail. But the more Minho watched them, the more he saw that something was very wrong underneath all the politeness. Yesterday, he had watched a young plant-like alien named Thelias make what looked like a beautiful sculpture. It mixed smooth curves with sharp angles in a way that seemed to show both growth and order. When Minho told the alien how original and creative it was, Thelias looked confused and surprised. Original? The alien had asked, sounding puzzled. I just followed the harmonious principles of collective aesthetic derivation. Individual expression would create ... discord. Now, looking at his recordings again, Minho saw that every conversation was almost the same. When aliens talked about their history, different species told nearly identical stories about joining the concordance. They shared their opinions. They all used the same phrases about collective benefit and harmonious choice. His tablet made a soft sound. A message from Ambassador Legina appeared. Meet me in the observation deck. Bring your notes. Minho found her looking out at the city's perfect skyline. Her face reflected in the clear metal window like a ghost. Been thinking about what you said, she started without looking at him. About the pauses, how they all moved together. I've been watching more carefully. She turned on a holographic screen that showed video from their meetings with the aliens. When she slowed it down, it was clear to see every alien's eyes would go blank for a moment. Then they would pause, and then they would speak like they were reading from the same book. It's not natural, Gina said quietly. This harmony there. So proud of it didn't happen because they became wise or evolved. Someone is making them do it. Minho felt cold fear run through his body. You think someone is controlling their minds? I think they've been trained so well that they can't tell the difference between their own thoughts and the thoughts they're supposed to have. Just then, as if he had been listening to their conversation, their door made a soft chime sound. High Harmonizer Velthan came in with his usual calm smile. But the colors moving across his skin seemed brighter and more urgent than usual. Ambassador Gina, Dr. Park, I hope your stay continues to teach you much. Very much, Gina replied, being careful with her words. We're learning a lot about your societies. Remarkable unity. Good, and tomorrow we would like to share something special with your group. A demonstration of our harmony technology, and an invitation for humanity to experience true peace. After Velthan left, Gina and Minho sat quietly for a long time, both thinking about what they had discovered. During the past weeks, Minho had noticed other strange things. In the alien libraries, he found that all the books written in the last 1,000 years sounded the same. The stories had different characters and settings, but they all taught the same lessons about putting the group before yourself. In the science labs, he saw that the aliens had stopped making new discoveries. They only improved on old inventions, in small, predictable ways. When he asked why, they said that radical innovation would create unnecessary discord. Even their food all tasted similar. Different species ate different things, but everything was mild and pleasant. Nothing was too spicy, too sweet, or too bitter. When Minho asked about this, a chef alien explained that extreme flavors could cause sensory discord. It's like they've forgotten how to be different, Minho told Gina. They've all become the same person wearing different bodies. Gina nodded grimly. And tomorrow they want to make us the same too. That night, Minho couldn't sleep. He walked around their living area, looking at the perfect alien city through the windows. Every building was beautiful, every street was clean, every light glowed with soft warmth. But now it looked like a prison to him. He thought about Earth. With all its messy problems, people argued about everything: politics, food, music, art. Cities were noisy and sometimes dirty. People got angry, sad, excited, and scared. It was chaotic and sometimes painful, but it was real. It was alive. Here, in this perfect place, nothing was alive anymore. It was all just a beautiful machine, running the same program over and over. Again, we need to find out what that technology really does, Gina had said. Before we accidentally destroy our entire species. Minho looked out at the peaceful, sleeping city and felt afraid. Tomorrow, the aliens would show them their harmony, technology. And if it was what he thought it was, humanity might be in terrible danger. The perfect city glowed softly in the alien night, beautiful and deadly as a trap made of light. The demonstration room was amazing to look at. The walls were covered with strange devices that glowed with soft, sleepy light. All the humans from Earth gathered together as High Harmonizer Velthan explained what would happen. His skin turned warm gold colors as he spoke with obvious pride. "The Harmony Network connects all minds in the concordance," he said. "It does not control thoughts, but guides them toward what helps everyone. Personal wants remain, but they are balanced against what the group needs." Ambassador Lee Gina looked at Dr. Park Minho with worried eyes. During the past week, they had secretly investigated and found their worst fears were true. The Harmony technology was really a smart way to control minds that had been improved over thousands of years. It worked by making the brain parts that felt strong emotions, independent thinking, and creative ideas weaker. "We will start with a small connection," Velthan continued. "It's just enough for you to experience the peace we have found." Dr. Kim Sora, the team's alien life scientist, stepped forward with excitement. "I volunteer. This could be the key to ending human fighting forever." Several other team members nodded in agreement. The promise of peace was tempting, especially to those who had seen how violent and destructive humans could be. As the neural crown was put on Sora's head, her face changed from excitement to wonder, then to a disturbing emptiness. When she spoke, her voice had the same slow, measured way of talking they had heard from every concordant citizen. "It's beautiful," she said. "I can feel the harmony, the shared purpose. Why do we hold on to our messy emotions when we could have this peace?" Each one came out of the experience wanting humanity to immediately join the concordance. But when Gina and Minho went to try the neural interface, something unexpected happened. "Strange," Velthan said quietly, looking at the computer readings. "Your brain patterns are ... resistant. The Harmony programs cannot make a proper connection." The truth became clear through careful questions. Human brains were too messy, too different from each other, for the Harmony system to work right. Their emotional ups and downs, their ability to think contradictory thoughts, and their tendency to create disruptive new ideas made them incompatible with the collective consciousness. Gina watched in horror as more of her team members tried the device. Each time they came out changed. Dr. Lee Hanna, who had been passionate about preserving human culture, now spoke calmly about the need to evolve beyond primitive attachments. Engineer Kim Tae, who had always been a rebel questioning authority, now talked about the wisdom of collective decision-making. "What exactly is happening to them?" Minho asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Velthan's skin colors shifted to show patience. Like he was explaining something simple to a child. "They are experiencing what it means to be truly civilized. Individual consciousness is ... limited. Primitive, when connected to the collective. They can access the wisdom of trillions of minds. But they're not themselves anymore," Gina protested. "They are better than themselves," Velthan replied. "Free from the chaos of unguided emotion and selfish desire." Minho felt sick as he watched his colleagues. They stood with the same posture, spoke with the same rhythm, even smiled at the same moments. It was like watching puppets being controlled by invisible strings. "This has happened before," Velthan admitted, his skin taking on darker colors. Some species prove difficult to integrate. They represent what we call the dissonance, chaos, that threatens the stability of harmony. And what happens to such species? Gina asked, though she was afraid to hear the answer. They are guided toward collective benefit through other means. Velthan replied with calm finality. The harmony of trillions cannot be sacrificed for the chaos of one. Minho felt the terrible weight of understanding. Humanity wasn't being invited to join the concordance as equals. They were being tested for elimination or forced compliance. The remaining unconnected, humans only 5 out of the original 20. Huddled together as their changed colleagues tried to convince them to try the Harmony Network. You're fighting against your own evolution, Dr. Sora said, her voice eerily calm. The chaos in your minds is causing you unnecessary suffering. We can help you, added Dr. Hannah. The collective consciousness has solutions to every problem humanity faces. But Gina could see that their eyes were different now, still intelligent, but lacking something essential. The spark of individual personality, the fire of personal passion, the unpredictable creativity that made humans human. It was all dampened, controlled, made harmonious. We need time to consider, Gina said carefully to Velthan. Of course, but understand, Ambassador, that time itself moves toward harmony. The universe has little patience for eternal discord. As they were escorted back to their quarters, Gina and Minho realized the terrible truth. Concordance had given them an impossible choice: surrender their humanity or be destroyed. And half their team had already chosen surrender without even realizing they were no longer free to choose anything else. The perfect alien city glowed around them, beautiful and peaceful and utterly terrifying. The final meeting took place in a huge crystal room that sparkled with rainbow light. High Harmonizer Velthan stood in front of the human team, his skin showing patterns that looked both beautiful and scary at the same time. The Concordance offers humanity a choice, he said in his calm voice. Integration into our harmony over 3 generations, allowing your species to slowly adapt to collective consciousness, or keeping your current state within the soul system, with proper barriers to prevent the spread of dissonance. Ambassador Legina understood what he really meant: slow mind control, or being trapped forever in their own solar system. Neither option was really a choice at all. May we have another demonstration? She asked. To help our people understand what integration truly means, Velthana's skin changed to happy blues and greens. Of course, it will provide a deeper connection to the Harmony Network. The second demonstration was much stronger. The volunteers. Now most of the human team were connected to the full network for several hours. When they came out, they all spoke the same way about humanity's need to evolve beyond its primitive emotional chaos. Dr. Kim Sora, who had once been passionate about human diversity, now spoke in slow, measured words about the necessity of transcending individual limitations. Her personality hadn't been erased, but it had been ... changed. The sharp edges of her creativity were smoothed down, her passionate curiosity replaced by calm acceptance. Only Gina, Dr. Park Min-ho, and 3 others remained, unconnected. Their resistance to the harmony system had been noticed, and they were now watched with what Velthan called concerned attention. You fear losing your chaos, Velthan said during a private meeting with the remaining humans. But think about what you would gain: an end to war, to crime, to suffering. Your species would join the greatest civilization in galactic history. At the cost of being human, Minho replied. You would be more than human. You would be harmonious. The changed humans tried to convince their unconnected colleagues. Dr. Sora approached Gina with a serene smile that looked wrong on her face. Gina, you're holding on to something that causes you pain, she said. Individual consciousness is like carrying a heavy weight. When you let it go, you feel so much lighter. But you're not you anymore, Gina protested. I'm better than I was. I can see solutions to problems that my limited individual mind could never solve. I can feel connected to something greater than myself. Minho watched his friend with growing horror. Sora's intelligence was still there, but her passion, her curiosity, Her ability to question and doubt, all of it was gone, replaced by this terrible, calm certainty. That night, Gina couldn't sleep. She used her access to the Concordance's computer, systems to dig deeper into their history, which she found made her blood run cold in the deep archives. She discovered records of dozens of species that had been integrated over thousands of years. Each had been given the same choice, had gone through the same process of gradual conditioning. Species after species had chosen harmony over their individual nature, but buried even deeper. She found scientific reports that shocked her. The Concordance's technological and cultural advancement had stopped growing for the past 2,000 years. Their art had become boring and predictable. Their science followed safe patterns. Their exploration was limited to predetermined paths. They had achieved perfect peace, but at the cost of all creativity and growth. Even worse. She found evidence that the Concordance knew this. They needed new ideas, new ways of thinking, new creative chaos to keep their civilization from stagnating completely. That's why they sought out new species, not to save them, but to harvest their creativity before making them harmonious. They're not trying to save us, Gina realized as she read report after report. They're trying to save themselves from us. The next morning, she shared her discovery with Minho and the other 3 unconnected humans. They gathered in a small maintenance room, speaking in whispers. Look at this. She showed them the data. Every species they've integrated follows the same pattern. First contact, cultural exchange, then the choice between harmony and isolation. But it's not really a choice, it's a trap. What do you mean? Asked Dr. Yoon, one of the few remaining unconnected team members. They need our chaos, our unpredictability, our creative disruption. But they also fear it because it threatens their perfect order. So they try to control it, to harvest just enough creativity to keep their civilization alive, while making sure it doesn't spread and destroy their harmony. Minho felt sick. We're not guests here. We're resources to be mined. Exactly. And once they've taken what they need from us, they'll make us just like them, peaceful, harmonious, and creatively dead. Outside their hiding place, the perfect alien city continued its serene existence. But now, the humans knew the truth. The beautiful harmony was built on the bones of 1,000 dead civilizations, each one sacrificed to maintain the Concordance's terrible peace. They had perhaps days before the Concordance lost patience and forced their compliance. Time was running out, and they needed a plan. Ambassador Lee Gina stood in the center of the Harmony Network's main control room. Her hands shook as she walked toward the huge quantum communication machine. The alien building around her pulsed, with living light patterns, and the air buzzed with the collective consciousness of trillions of minds. This is not wise, Ambassador. High Harmonizer, Velthan said, his skin showing urgent red patterns. The network is not made for unfiltered human consciousness. You could cause system-wide disruption. That's exactly what I'm hoping for, Gina replied. Dr. Park Minho stood beside her, wearing a neural interface headset that they had secretly modified with human technology. Are you sure about this? We might not survive the feedback. Better to die free than live as edited copies of ourselves, Gina answered, then activated the connection. The moment human consciousness touched the Harmony Network, chaos exploded across the galaxy. Gina's unfiltered emotions, her love for her chaotic, beautiful, annoying species flooded through the connection like a dam bursting. Minho's questioning mind challenged everything, attacking the accepted harmonies with ruthless logic. But, most powerfully, they broadcast a simple message. What if you could choose? The words spread through the network like a virus, waking up suppressed brain pathways across 1,000,000 worlds. On Nexus Prime, the crystallite sculptor who had been creating harmoniously derived art suddenly remembered what it felt like to create from passion rather than following rules. A Verdani engineer working on their 1,000th version of approved technology wondered, what would happen if they tried something completely different? The Harmony Network began to fall apart as billions of minds suddenly remembered what it meant to disagree, to dream, to rebel. The conditioning of thousands of years didn't break immediately. It cracked, allowing glimpses of individual consciousness to emerge. Across the galaxy, strange things began to happen. On a distant world, a young alien who had been assigned to grow food in perfectly organized rows suddenly decided to plant flowers in wild, chaotic patterns. In a research facility, a scientist who had been following the same experimental procedures for decades wondered, what would happen if they tried something no one had ever attempted before in the great libraries? Aliens who had been reading only approved texts found themselves curious about the forbidden books locked away in the deepest archives. Artists who had been creating harmonious works for their entire lives felt a strange urge to make something ugly, something that would make people uncomfortable, something that would make them think. Velthan's form flickered between colors. Rapidly, his harmonious composure finally breaking apart. You don't understand what you've done? Without harmony, there will be chaos, conflict, suffering. Yes, Gina said, her voice weak but determined as the neural feedback hurt her brain. There will be. But there will also be choice, growth, the possibility of becoming something more than what you've allowed yourselves to be. The networks. Collapse wasn't violent, it was more like a gradual awakening. Across the concordant species began to remember their individual natures. Some chose to keep their harmony. Others wanted to rediscover their suppressed cultures. And still others tried to find balance between unity and independence. On Nexus Prime, the perfect city began to change. Buildings that had stood in identical rows for thousands of years were suddenly painted in wild colors by their inhabitants. Parks that had been maintained in perfect geometric patterns became wild gardens as people planted whatever they wanted. Wherever they wanted, the streets, which had been quiet and orderly for millennia, filled with the sounds of arguments, laughter, music, and celebration. For the first time in thousands of years, the city was truly alive. But the awakening wasn't. Without problems, some aliens, suddenly freed from their conditioning, didn't know how to handle their emotions. They had been peaceful for so long that they had forgotten how to disagree without violence. Fights broke out in some areas as suppressed anger and frustration exploded after centuries of being held down. Others became overwhelmed by the sudden flood of individual consciousness and begged to be reconnected to the Harmony Network. They couldn't handle the responsibility of making their own choices. After having every decision made for them for generations, Velthan collapsed as the network fell apart around him. His skin had stopped changing colors and settled into a dull gray. Look what you've done, he whispered. Look at the chaos you've brought to our perfect world. Gina, barely conscious from the neural feedback, looked out at the city below. Yes, there was chaos. Yes, there was conflict. But there was also something that had been missing for thousands of years. Life. Real, messy, unpredictable life. Perfect. Worlds are dead worlds, she said softly. You chose safety over life, order over growth, peace over freedom. You have a chance to choose again. The awakening spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Some worlds embraced the chaos and began to grow and change in ways they hadn't for millennia. Others rejected it and tried to rebuild their harmony networks. Most fell somewhere in between, struggling to find a balance between individual freedom and collective peace. Months later, Ambassador Gina stood on the observation deck of the human embassy, watching the transformed city of Nexus Prime. It was messier now, louder, more chaotic. But it was also more beautiful, more creative, more alive than it had ever been. The universe was a messier place now, but it was also truly free.